Buongiorno, race fans. Welcome back to another edition of
Regole della Papaya.
This weekend we had the Formula 1 2025 Gran Premio d'Italia. And I know you're wondering, what's with the Ferrari red? I thought you didn't like Ferrari. And you're right, I don't. But it is Monza. And whenever Monza comes around, to paraphrase Sebastian Vettel, everybody's a Ferrari fan a little bit, or something like that. But also this race was a race, so I brought some Italian wine to be able to get through this. So let's review everything that went down here at the Race Day Cafe. So another reason I brought out this wine is because Stefano Domenicali, CEO of Formula 1, is apparently considering shortening F1 races and also getting rid of practice, or at least not televising practice and instead doing something more fun like more sprint races. Honestly, I think I could dedicate an entire video to that because there's a lot to unpack there. But my thoughts on the matter kind of boil down to, bestie, respectfully, no. And now it's time for the highly anticipated, by me, Ferrari design review. Category is honoring Niki Lauda's first title win with the team. The t-shirts are what they should have brought to Miami, honestly. At least this time they're not blue because of HP. They're getting a 7 out of 10. Nice, but not interesting enough. Now the fireproofs, I will say, are pretty damn excellent. And if you didn't know, they're based directly on the ones that Niki Lauda used to wear for the Scuderia. I also love that they made a jacket. Formula 1 needs more racing jackets. We can't let NASCAR have all the cool stuff. 10 out of 10 on these. I love them. And the livery reminds me a lot of the 2016 car. Seb, is that you? I personally like this, but I feel like they've run into the same problem as usual. It's just really hard to adapt an old livery to a new car and make it look good. However, given all that, this is actually not so bad. And I actually really like the golden wheel spokes. That's an 8 out of 10 for this bad boy. Not bad considering Ferrari's track record lately. Practice was not super interesting except for the fact that we had a couple of reserve drivers join in, and also Kimi Antonelli red flagged a session. And also Pierre Gasly has extended his suffering with Alpine, I mean his contract, until 2028. This weekend we had some real qualifying shenanigans. What do you mean Isaac Hadjar was out in Q1? Explain.
Then came Isaac Hadjar, who seems to be living his best life at the moment.
Oh, the irony. Both Williams were out in Q2, while Gabriel Bortoleto snuck into Q3. In Q3, George Russell tried to flex, being all like, I actually wanted the medium tires, not the softs. Everyone look at me, I could be so much faster on mediums than all of these bitches on softs. Okay, sweetie, isn't it past your bedtime? And then, you know, the usual. Lando Norris gets pole position and everybody's... Wait, hold on. That son of a bitch. He did it again. Max Verstappen sets the fastest lap in the history of this god-forsaken sport, beating both the 2024 McLaren and the 2020 Mercedes, and fucking F1's TV direction does not show it to us. Because why would we show the fastest lap in Formula 1 history when we can instead show some randos in the McLaren garage? That's way more interesting. F1 TV director, drop your location. I just want to talk. Okay, now let's move on to the race, which was an absolute snooze fest. Well, okay, to be fair, not all of it was boring. In fact, the opening laps were absolute cinema. First, Nico Hülkenberg is told to retire the car because of a mechanical issue, so he doesn't even start the race. Then the race starts, and Lando Norris gets pushed to the grass by Max Verstappen, who then cuts the Prima Variante. And he keeps the lead of the race, but then the FIA gives him a warning and Max backs off and gives back the position to Lando. Then Leclerc overtakes Piastri for third, and then Verstappen overtakes Lando back and takes back the lead of the race. And then Oscar overtakes Leclerc to get P3 again. Just Oscar-worthy stuff. This Oscar, not that Oscar, if that wasn't clear. Then George Russell starts getting within DRS of Leclerc, and we get a 5-second penalty for Ocon. That's real, that's not me doing a bit. He actually got a penalty. And Hamilton was also getting close to Russell, which means we were getting a sort of three-way battle for 4th place. But Russell couldn't get to Leclerc because the Ferrari's faster on the straights. Yes, we get it. And Lewis, I guess, entered tire management phase, so he pulled away. So much for the three-way battle, I guess. After that, the race slowed down considerably. So let's check in on Max Verstappen. Surely he can't be that far, 4 seconds ahead of Norris. Oh, okay, well, that's a lot, but I'm sure Lando will catch up. Alonso's leading the DRS train, and the commentators are talking about how he's a little conductor train going choo-choo. If the broadcast announcers are doing RPF live, you know the race is getting pretty boring. Antonelli overtakes Yuki Tsunoda like he's taking a nice Sunday stroll in the park. Carlos Sainz goes off track, but he gets investigated for not rejoining the race through these yellow lines. You truly learn about new F1 penalties every day, huh? Alonso and Bortoleto, who've been in yet another battle together, pit at the same time, and Alonso comes out first by a fraction of a second. Can we technically say that Alonso undercut Bortoleto here? I think we can. Plus, Lawson gets in front of Bortoleto right after that, which is just adding insult to injury. Let's check back in on Max Verstappen, who is now 6 seconds away from Lando. Okay, well, that is a lot, but I'm sure Lando will catch up. Sainz is told to swap positions with Albon. Well, they actually tell him to keep the line at turn 4 and not defend, but they could have just said swap positions, right? Like, that's much faster. Aren't y'all engineers? I thought you were all about efficiency. Fernando Alonso retires his car because, of course, my man can't have a single good weekend ever. And now comes the part of the race where we're all grasping at straws for any action at all. Pierre Gasly overtakes Franco Colapinto, which is something, I guess. Going from, what, P20 to P19? Wow, that changes everything. Leclerc locks up going into the pit lane. Wow, how shocking. And people seriously want to bring back V10s when we can have action like this every weekend. Well, to be fair, at least Sainz and Behrman gave us this little incident. Piastri is now getting close to Norris. The only problem is they're the only two drivers who haven't pit yet, which leads us to believe they might be extending the mediums to pit for softs, which is something that maybe Ferrari could also do, and that might work. Oh, never mind, they just pit for hards. Why do I keep getting my hopes up with this team? Albon overtakes Antonelli for 9th, but the Italian had pushed the Brit off the track, so Antonelli got a 5-second penalty, which will probably convert to a grid penalty after the race. And then we get to what I can already predict will be the biggest talking point of this race, the Papaya rules part 2 incident. The McLarens go for their pit stops, but Lando is told to stay out while Oscar pits first, and they tell Lando that this is just so that Oscar can protect against Leclerc and that there will be no undercut from Oscar. So Oscar does his pit stop, and then later Lando goes for his. But there's a mechanic error and Lando's pit stop is 6 seconds long, so Oscar ends up staying ahead. And then the team order Oscar to give Lando back the position, and Oscar does. And after that, Oscar is free to race Lando. Yikes, there's a lot to unpack here too. But we'll do it in the analysis segment. Unfortunately, Oscar can't quite catch up to Lando, but maybe Lando can catch up to Max? I mean, how far can he? 18 seconds. Oh, well, that is a lot, but I'm sure Lando will catch up. Max Verstappen wins in Monza, with Lando Norris in P2 and Oscar Piastri in P3. And apparently, we've just witnessed the fastest Formula 1 race in history. That barely lasted an hour and 15 minutes. And then there's the podium celebration, which is honestly more interesting than the race itself. The drivers are given these ugly-ass trophies. The crowd boos for Lando, which, I don't know about that one, gang. And then right before we get hit with the classic F1 outro song, the crowd chants the Max Verstappen anthem. It's the little things, folks. It's the little things. Alright, that was the race. Now let's talk about my superlatives. This week's ace of the race is the great Maximilian Verstappen. Literally, what can I say about this man anymore? Just when we think we can't possibly be surprised anymore, this bastard goes and continues to do so. To recap, Max has just won the fastest race in F1 history by finishing 18 seconds ahead of this season's dominant car, with himself being in the 4th best car after getting pole position by setting the fastest lap of all time. Folks, we've traveled back in time. It's 2023 and we're in the 9th circle of hell. All I can say is cheers. I'll drink to that. This week's disgrace of the race is Haas. Once again, this team shines one weekend and flops the next. This time Haas does the old switcheroo. Wow, that's an old reference. Ollie Behrman qualified P11, which could have been converted into points, but instead he ended up P12 with an unserved penalty. And Ocon qualified P15 and then stayed there while also getting a penalty. I don't know what's up with this team, but this can't keep happening. I guess I will also honorably mention Alpine, whom I haven't really been talking about lately, and that's because they've been absolutely nowhere for the last few weeks. And it would be annoying to have them be disgrace of the race every weekend, so I'm just mentioning it here. What the hell is going on over there? Colapinto deserves better than this. This weekend's strategy masterclass goes to McLaren. I didn't really have a standout strategy personally, so I'm giving it to McLaren because I thought it was smart that they tried a different strategy from everyone else, and it ended up working out for them. They also did an excellent job managing the medium tires, which were obviously the tire everybody wanted to stay on. And I guess by extension we could say it's a Ferrari disaster class. I think they should have tried to do what McLaren did and extended the medium tires a little more. That way maybe at least Lewis could have overtaken George. But anyway, let's talk briefly about the Papaya rules incident because I know it's what everybody's gonna be going crazy about. Personally, I'm a little upset by it. Hungary 2024, I think, was more understandable slightly. Oscar was told he wouldn't get passed by Lando, he got passed by Lando, and then Lando was told to give back the position. Fair enough. And here it was similar, but this time we have an added element, which is the failed pit stop. So in essence, the team were actually going, hey Oscar, we actually messed up Lando's pit stop, so we need you to fix it for us. Pretty please. Like, I'm sorry. It's not Oscar's problem that the team messed up. Also, the situation is slightly different because in Hungary, Lando and Oscar were fighting for the Constructors' Championship. They had to play the team game, which is why McLaren didn't want any bad blood between the drivers. This year, McLaren's Constructors' Championship is more than one. No one is possibly going to beat them unless something really crazy happens. Now it's the two McLaren drivers fighting for the Drivers' Championship, which means it's everyone for themselves. There should not be any team orders at this stage. If anything, the team order should be favoring Oscar because he's the one who's leading the championship, but still. And also, let's be real here for a second. Senna, Schumacher, Hamilton, Verstappen, name any of the greats. None of them would have given that position back. In fact, Max actively laughed at the situation. So yeah, I guess I do appreciate that at least McLaren was consistent and they acted the same way in both situations. But while Hungary was maybe more justifiable, I don't really get it with this one. But I'm sure you all have thoughts about it, and maybe, I'll change my mind about this. So let me know in the comments below what you think, and let's have a discussion. This week's underdog shoutout goes to Alex Albon and Gabriel Bortoletto because they both earned some good points for their teams. Also, Isaac Hadjar snuck into the top 10 as well, so maybe him as well. I love my midfielders and backmarkers, can you tell? My favorite team radio was naturally the Max Verstappen podcast. He gets told that the McLaren swap positions and he just laughs. Just because he had a slow stop? Honestly, he's so real for that. Admittedly, it was kind of nice to get a flashback to the Red Bull domination era when Max would just provide his own race commentary because he had literally nothing else to do. Good times. For my best moment of the weekend, I just think Monza's so cool, man. People went crazy for Verstappen even though he's not a Ferrari driver. I just wish all of the races had such a dedicated audience, I'm sorry, but I do have to give it to Ferrari fans here. I'm really jealous of your fan base. Everyone else has zero team spirit. I hate it here. For the worst moment of the weekend, honestly, I think the whole discussion about whether to shorten F1 races kind of depressed me. Like, I know some people only watch the highlights or TikTok clips. I understand they only want to watch the exciting parts. That's fair enough. But shortening the races is not going to make the races more exciting. If anything, there's less time for something exciting to happen. I don't know, man. I know that short form content is more marketable because no one has an attention span anymore, but it's not our problem that they've fried their dopamine receptors. Overall, this race is gonna get 2 out of 5 stars. How is it possible that a race could be so short and yet feel so long at the same time? Very disappointing for Monza, to be honest. You used to be cool, man. Lastly, let's review our year-long prediction bingo. There's nothing that we can actually add, but I think we could make a case for Papaya rules. No one actually said Papaya rules, but it was almost the exact same situation as the original Papaya rules incident. So I don't know. What do you think? Should we include it? Let me know. And also let me know your thoughts on the race in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Stay fueled and grazie ragazzi, grande lavoro, bella strategia, macchina grande, forza Ferrari. I need Seb to come back. No, la polizia, no.